Good morning, I'm Francesco Fiore. I'm an Italian lawyer, partner of the law firm Quorum, and you are listening to GGUTT Talks, GGUTT.
Cool.
We have a lot of law regulation, not only in Italy, but also in Europe, where people can absolutely send notices to data protection authorities mentioning these phone calls, the numbers from which they receive these phone calls, so that the data protection authority starts investigating and issues fines to the relevant companies. So the most important suggestion I give to everybody is to definitely, first of all, ask the people on the other side, how did you get my phone number? And if these people are not able to give you the answer, just close the phone call. Because the most important information that this provider needs to give you is what is the source of the data. How do I get your data? So they need to tell you exactly from where they got it. If they're not giving you a convincing answer, just close the phone call, because it's someone who is trying to steal from you something, either data or, in worst cases, also money.
Yeah, it reminds me, someone called me a few months ago telling me that I subscribe to their service and whatever. I'm like, can you tell me where you got my phone number from? They closed the phone, not me. It's they can't answer, and it's an issue. This is also in mailing lists and so on. It happens if you're using a third party. This third party should not provide your email address for newsletters, and this happens as well. And this is linked to customer experience also, and all of that. And going back to the topic, I guess, where you said we should be able to actually, let's say a bank needs to do their due diligence, right? And then they call you and say, "Hello, are you Maria Matloub?" Well, I'm supposed to tell you that. I'm supposed to give you those information. You're not supposed to tell me, because I can be anyone answering the phone, even if it's my phone. So it's not only from the user's perspective, I guess it's also from the company's perspective, where there is lots of work to be done and lots of education in that area.
Definitely. You have to consider that all these new privacy provisions were just introduced in 2016, but it took almost 2 years to implement them all over Europe. But it's exactly the point that people need to understand, companies need to understand that there is one principle which needs to be taken into mind, the principle of minimization. I need to process personal data exclusively for the scope that I have in mind. I do not have to process data for something else. So when you say I receive newsletter contacts from third parties, there is always the need from your side to understand why these people is calling me. So either you place the question we made before, or you pay attention when you give data to anyone. You need to pay always attention to the privacy policy, because you need to understand if they are asking you to give a consent to transfer data also to third parties. And this is something that needs definitely to be avoided, because otherwise your data will be spread to an undetermined number of people, and it will be a nightmare for you. So it's always important to check the privacy policy and bear in mind something very important. In no cases someone can process your data, transfer it to third parties, unless you have given your explicit consent. So sometimes this is, unfortunately, it still happens. In most websites, you see privacy notice with the boxes already ticked. This cannot be, it's not possible. The tick has always been done by you explicitly, because you need to read what is written on the private, and you have to say, yes, I want my data to be transferred. But if I don't tick the box, this is not allowed. So I know that it's not easy, especially for all people, but try at least to read papers, read notices before giving any kind of consent. And if this didn't happen because you were too busy, so you wanted to close the matter as soon as possible, then try afterwards, if you get contacts from people you don't know, to always ask for the source of your data. Because if they don't answer, or if they insist, then you close the connection. Or, of course, in that case, our suggestion is to say, ask support to a lawyer or to a friend so that he can make a notice of data breach to the data authority and they can start an investigation on this person. Of course, it's not a legal aspect. There are also a lot of app that can be downloaded which help you blocking numbers that you think they are not, which you don't want to be contacted. So there are means that you can use to try to limit this phenomenon, which could be very dangerous.
That's an interesting point, and it goes back to, the use of the internet actually is a right, and it's been declared by the United Nations and even by the European Union. Access to the internet and so on. But then access to data and open data is another thing. And I guess each time there's a new technology, there are new complications and new challenges that come with it. And some countries are required to ensure that, this access is kind of not given to everyone, freely, and is kind of controlled. But it's very difficult because there's lots of data that is happening and exchanged every second. And you touched on something very interesting, and you said, try to read the privacy policy and the cookies policies and all of these buttons that I even don't read, but intuitively on the websites, you have this green button and the others you don't see them. So you just want to go on on this website and you just press on it. You just click on it and then you don't really care. How harmful can that be? And the other part of the question is, why is it so complicated for a user just to read this? It's just really small. It's not made on purpose not to read it.
Yes, it's made on purpose. You have to consider that from a law point of view, any website needs to show you just a very small banner. Then, of course, on that banner, there should be a link to the extended cookie policy. But I say something that's not really legal, okay? Because as you said, people want to go on, they want to surf on the internet, they want to go directly to what they need. So they just quickly accept the cookie policy. Okay, this is something which I can say I understand. The risks are limited, in my opinion, in comparison to the provision of other personal data, because now registration have made cookie policy more strict, which means that if I accept the cookie policy and I click on the green button, I just allow the use of my digital personal data just for technical reason, just for give me the possibility to experience on your website. But it doesn't mean that everybody's having access to your numbers or your bank account or any other sensitive personal data. This luckily is very limited. What is most important is if I go through this website, if I buy something or if I made a request, in that moment I'm giving personal data because I have to tell who I am, I have to give my email, my mobile phones. If I buy something, I have to give my credit card. So in that case, it's important to check that the website is safe, to check that the privacy policy is well written. The privacy policy is very easy to be understood because they should be structured in a very easy way. They should tell you exactly for what scope they need your data. So if you want to buy something, they should just say, look, I need your data because otherwise I cannot deliver to you the stuff you have bought. But if you see a list of other requests saying, no, I want to use the data because I want to share it with third parties, I want to use the data because I want to send you promotion and whatever. For all these other requests, you have to check that they're asking you for a specific consent. If they don't ask you for a specific, they just ask you to accept it, then this is an element which shows to you that the company on the other side is not a serious one and is not paying the right attention to privacy. So you should, in that moment, understand and think, is that the right provider I want to buy something from? Or is there any alternative which is safer, is taking more is paying more attention on privacy policy, on privacy processing. So unfortunately, this takes time, but believe me, when you start the first time and you get some kind of experience, then it will be very easy, very fast for you check this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge for sure.
Yes.
But to be honest, I now take the time to reject or accept only the necessary ones. But sometimes it takes so many clicks. I think I read once an article, someone calculated how many minutes one needs to go through all of those buttons.